it has really just been all on Natuno's shoulders. And what we really need to see from Los Grandes with Hidan coming in is, can they be more than just the Natuno 1v9 show? Bot laner or bust has been the name of the game so far, but INTZ, they're most certainly going to be looking to shut that down.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to be, right? And I think that you could almost draw a comparison to, like, okay, INTZ, they had a strong bottom lane, right? We did our kind of unofficial end of split awards last split saying, like, oh, who's the guy, you know, that is most elo held? And we voted Ninja Kiwi. The rest of the team has stepped up around him, and the reigning MVP has kind of taken on that mantle as we get into champ select here. Vi locked in for Yampi. And ZZK, I mean, you said it, that he was the best top laner in the league. We were prepping as the Ari's locked in here for Lava. And you couldn't see me, but I was giving you a side eye. But the more I think about it, in terms of nothing else, just impact that he has had on his team.
Yeah.
The difference between consistent ZZK INTZ and inconsistent ZZK INTZ, night and day.
Well, and I'm expecting a strong carry pick to come through for INTZ, probably on the back half of the draft. He has been tremendous on those champions. And look, if you want to shut down a superstar AD carry, Annie, Vi, 2 champions, very well suited to do it. Other power picks still up and available, particularly looking at Kaisa on the board. We saw it slam down B1 just last game by IU. Don't know if it's in Ninja Kiwi's wheelhouse, as he is yet to play more than one game of it so far this split, but it's looked exceptionally strong. Rakan, another one in the support position that has looked powerful. We've got other things like Rel still up and available on the board as well for Ranger if they want to go for it.
The Ivern hover wasn't even crazy. We haven't seen Ivern jungle yet. We have seen Ivern in the mid lane. Grevthar playing that last week, but a lot of junglers kind of stock standard here. Heck, we might even see the Rel. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them put Ranger on the Rel. I mean, Rel, Xayah, you know, as a duo, they kind of want to do different things, but I like an engaged support for Ranger. I'm glad that the Enchanter era seems to be coming for an end, if nothing else, for Ranger's sake, because his instincts really seem to be a lot better. And the Gwen ban, Hawk, you pointed it out, ZZK is probably going to get a carry, and Los Grandes know that extremely well.
The thing with Rel and Xayah as well, 4x4 is, even though Rel wants to go in a little bit, Xayah wants to go out, Rel groups him up extremely well for the Xayah to do her AoE. Not only that, very strong 2v2. We just saw last game, Rel against Rakan. It was Rel favored in the 2v2. Now, Kaisa still up and available if Ninja Kiwi wants it. Other things that he could go towards. Zeri still up on the board, has fallen out of favor a little bit on the current patch. However, there is the one-shot build with the Static Shift Night Harvester that we saw in LCS if Ninja Kiwi wanted it. So there are still things up and available. I think the biggest thing really is going to be this top lane 4x4, because INTZ has been one of the few teams so far in CBLOL that has proven they can play through more than just their marksman.
And if you can, right, if you can get those leads and then translate them, I think that's the key thing, because, I mean, we look at VKS as a bit of a test case for that, right? What were Grevthar and Gigo? That was always the knock on them, not even on them really, but before they got Grell in was, man, these solo laners are very, very good, but they didn't have a jungler to kind of enable them and push them forward. I'm not saying that's what it is with Yami necessarily. Okay, Cassante for Hidan.
Interesting.
But, yeah, you want to see them push these leads a little bit more. Olaf and Gwen banned out here, and also NL getting his pool pitched a lot, so he's gonna have an R5 jungle pick.
Yeah, this is really interesting, and so far we've only seen Sejuani from NL, so I'm very surprised that they did not give Hidan R5 counter. I mean, Cassante has been pick banned pretty much in global leagues, but it's been pretty bad in CBLOL. It's been a bit of a meme over here, and this is just going to completely open up counter pick for ZZK. Fiora, Camille, Aatrox, Gnar, all things up and available that can be very good against Cassante, and I would consider to be ZZK-esque champions. Lots of hovers coming across, and also
my heart.
I also want to point out, okay, well, this 4-5 is crazy. The Sivir, something we've not seen in a while, and Kale, our blue 5 from the side of ZZK.
Wowie Maui. Yeah, have fun with that R5, I guess, in the jungle. Like you said, it's only been Sejuani for Hidan, and Maokai seems about as kind of safe. That feels like what NL has been kind of relegated to. Well, okay, I better shut my mouth.
I like that. I like that a lot more. I like this Nocturne a lot more. A lot more potential to be able to attack these volatile side lanes that have been locked in. Lots of playmaking now for the side of Los Grandes after ultimates come through. Spirit Rush, Paranoia is an extremely strong combo. Mid-jungle 2v2 will be favorable for NL and Lava, and I need to see them try to flex this lead, because what INTZ did with their 4-5 was lock in a lot of scaling. It was a mid-game comp, but Kale and Civ are going to want to bring this one late and outscale Los Grandes. So I want to see this struggling roster on a 4-game skid find their fights and be able to generate themselves a lead in this mid-game.
I'd expect to see Ranger roaming a lot, right? He's kind of functioning as that secondary jungler, of course, a former jungler. Ranger, some would argue, the GOAT. But he has those instincts in him. You see that on the champions like the Nautilus. The guy has an itchy trigger finger. He wants to go forward for better or for worse. So, yeah, don't be surprised if you see Natuno left on a little bit of an island as well.
Right, and Natuno, a player that, as you know, gotten a lot of resources from Los Grandes, has been a big carry, but it's not to say that they exclusively have to play towards him in the early game. In fact, Los Grandes, last split, they found a lot of success playing through mid-jungle and then transitioning that lead to bottom. That's really what I need to see. Annie, of course, a champion that, despite having a ton of playmaking potential, is still immobile, and if the flash is gone, that's a lot of the playmaking potential removed from this champion. So we'll see if those Ferris is able to absorb this pressure at all that I'm expecting to come his way. But Los Grandes, the fact remains, you have to be able to exert that pressure. INTZ is a team that, against Furia in their win just last week, showed that they can withstand early to mid-game aggression and out-team fight you later on.
Yeah, you and I were talking before the game. Maybe the path for Los Grandes is to just kind of sit back and scale, because even though Los Grandes, or INTZ rather, their 2 losses have been to 2 really good teams, they, as you pointed out to me, have been to 2 really slow teams as well. And so, like you said, can they absorb that, right? And whereas Los Grandes, in their success early last split, Lava has gotten a lot of flack because his performance since starting last split has gone just kind of slowly downhill. He hasn't been this impactful, you know, the former LCK pedigree that we have we've grown accustomed to. But now this is a change of pace for NL as well. And can Lava get back to that?
We'll have to see if it happens. We are on to the Rift for game number 2 of the day, and all eyes on the rookie jungler of Los Grandes, their superstar AD carry, to get them over the hump. But on the other side, hyper-scaling ZZK and Ninja Kiwi going to look to push INTZ to their 5th win so far this split, which, I mean, it needs to be said one more time, 4x4. Already, this team has looked better than I think we were expecting coming in.
Oh, League's better. Yeah, and I think they've proven that, similar to Pain, they're not really a team that's going to make a ton of mistakes, right? They're beating whoever's below them. They're losing to the teams above them in the standings. Fine. You are going to make playoffs for the first time, you know, in all likelihood, since 2020, since you won a title. That was the last time they made playoffs, and now they've shown a lot of faith in this roster, proved a lot of people wrong so far, I think, including you and I, and the general consensus. Whereas Los Grandes, yeah, complete opposite end of the spectrum. 4 straight losses after a 2-0 start. The departure of Trick, getting NL, a guy who has been in and out of the CBLOL in splits past, getting himself in there, and then Heat out being called in. He himself used to play on INTZ a couple splits ago, I think maybe last split, when INTZ
back in 2022 split 2 with INTZ. So former team, last time he appeared on the CBLOL was on INTZ.
He's on the Cassante. I think you and I we were prepping for this. We thought maybe, you know, with that crazy champion pool that he had last split, he had the Aurelia in his pocket. He had the Camille as well. As Trey's going back and forth here. Nia responding. Natuno checking out some feathers. Ninja Kiwi again on this Sivir that it feels so long ago that we were in those Zeri Sivir handshake trade metas.
I know, it has really been a while since we've seen Sivir back in the meta, but definitely a champion that any lane in which Sivir can survive and look to match push, such as in a Xayah lane, the champion does feel extremely strong due to her hyperscaling and the utility that she does provide. Both junglers going for mismatch clears. It's going to be a cover on ZZK on the top side from Yampi as he is pushing into this Cassante, but it will give NL free reign on the bottom side. Of course, pre-6 Nocturne ganks, not exactly the best,
No.
all things considered, especially against a relatively safe bottom lane in Sivir Rakan.
Yeah, you've got decent disengage. You've got the spell shield as well, which NL does have, but yeah, a lot more pertinent for Ninja Kiwi. Like you said, pathing to different sides. I don't know if you saw if Yep had an eye on NL or was just kind of gambling that, okay, ZZK, which it should be said here, getting push here, level up here on Hedon, which is gambling that NL was going to be focusing a lot of attention, especially 3-6 for ZZK, on just kind of shutting it down.
Yeah, we'll have to see what ends up happening. I mean, I would expect both the junglers playing a pretty slow early game. If anything, Vi has a bit more playmaking potential, but both of them very level 6 reliant, right? And I think that's where the game would explode. Both these mid-jungle 2v2s really like to make that first move into mid lane and look to find a one-shot. But, of course, we do see Yampi pathing up to the top side. Could be a potential dive angle, but no, just going to be a reset, looking to find out that Nocturne. And lots of vision, at the very least, being put down means that NL should be getting tracked up to that critical level 6 mark. So hopefully no surprises when the paranoia does come online for INTZ.
Yep, if it was a gamble, it paid off. Getting that top side scuttle, getting that ward into not only that choke point right there, but also you see the pings coming down. Yampi absolutely knows exactly where
Full
NL
vision.
is. Meanwhile, yeah, absolutely. And meanwhile, on the other side, on INTZ's side, there is just that one red ward, that stealth ward that I think Lava put down. I don't even know if that was NL. He might have just thrown that down. He might have, but either way. Yeah, checking in on the other lanes here. Hedon not having a great time of it. I haven't casted a Kale lane in a while. But,
no, neither have I. I really have not seen much Kale at all. Definitely not a CBLOL type of champion that we might expect. Maybe ZZK bringing a little bit of his Korean roots to the league. A little bit of a slower sort of champion, but definitely getting the better of Hedon early on. Something that not a lot of champions can do against Cassante. Generally considered to be a very proficient laning tank. Getting put down just that little bit. And again, Kale can really get out of control if it is able to free scale. But for as we are, playing a slow early game, I don't think we're going to see anything until that 8-minute mark around that first Herald, around those jungle level 6s. I want to go back to talking about INTZ just that little bit, because already sitting at 4-2, they've got Los Grandes today, who is on a pretty bad losing streak, and tomorrow they've got the Red Hot Loud, who has now won their 4th game in a row. So big proven matches, I think, on both sides of the spectrum. INTZ want to prove that not only can they beat the teams below them, like Los Grandes, but that they can beat the teams that are feeling themselves at the moment as well. And if they go 6-2 through the first 4 weeks, that would be, just phenomenal for this squad.
That would be absolutely remarkable. Not only shattering expectations, but also bucking the trend of, like you were saying, okay, you beat the teams below you, you lose the teams above you. Loud, even though they're below you in the standings right now, I don't think anyone's questioning.
No, they're good, yeah. If the season started in week 2, Loud is one of the best teams,
Yes. No, they look like a completely different team, and we had Robo on just now saying, look, we took a little bit of time to figure it out. Ranger getting traded back onto in the bottom lane. But we think we've got a better grasp of it. He and Crockett, Robo had his first legitimately good game of the split. And that was the final missing piece for Loud to go, oh, okay, that's the final gem in the Thanos gauntlet there.
And Croc getting player of the game too. I don't think something that anyone really expected based on his current play. But back to the current game, right? INTZ, they've got a huge opportunity, and I love what Nosferus is doing. Every single time he gets a push on the wave, walking in towards NL's Raptors and just looking for the Nocturne, finds him out, says, okay, we've got eyes, his level 6 is going to be online soon, and we know exactly where he is. We can take the skirmish in the river. It is Yampi that gets the crab, so even more control going their way, and clearly recognizing that the ball is in Los Grandes' court to make these early plays 4x4, so not wanting to allow that to happen clearly is the game plan for INTZ.
Now just dropping the ult down immediately onto Lava. Good little chunk, I'll say. Let's pop a couple stacks of that corrupting pot. Nosferus just a little bit out ahead in this lane so far, despite the CS being even. This
is something that you see a lot from Annie's when the game is being played slow. It's like, okay, jungler, do we want to make a play soon? No, not in the next minute and a half. Okay, throw your ult down on enemy mid laner, chunk them to half HP, 1/3 HP, and basically gain free control over the wave. Nosferus should be able to take a really easy base right here if he wants to. He's got first move with Nia to do whatever he really wants to do. And it just means that Lava, again, not able to do anything that he wants to for the next 30 seconds to a minute. Really frustrating this Los Grandes composition that clearly roaming their support up wants to play around this 8-minute Rift Herald spawn and the paranoia.
Yeah, and realizing, I think, to your point, when Yampy, or Nosferis rather, got up, saw, okay, NL, not level 6 yet at the time, now he's level 6. Okay, we've got a little more purchase here, right? Like you said, both these junglers waiting until they hit that level 6, and that's when the game kind of starts. Los Grandes, despite all these things we've said, though, they do have first purchase onto this Herald, took advantage of Nosferis backing, and roamed their own support, roamed their support, like we were saying, up here. ZK just gonna walk on the ward. Other than that, that'll be all she wrote. Nothing doing on the other side of the map, though. Yampy looking like maybe he's gonna path down there in the spawn.
Yeah, it does end up being a pretty free Herald, so credit to Los Grandes, still committing to the play, putting their eggs in the neutral objective basket. INTZ, it's really just a wave crash and a little bit of farm. Trade it back, and yeah, but you cannot do this. Los Grandes, they are faster on this play, and you do not have the Tibbers back up and available.
Charm landing onto Nia, good bit of damage there. Yeah, with the level 6 on NL. Maybe they pulled the trigger. Maybe they were waiting. Maybe they didn't feel that without.
Maybe they can go late.
Maybe Ranger here. He can hit level 6 off.
Want to go?
Kind of died XP. Yeah, my only explanation is that they were waiting for Ranger ult, right? They wanted him to be level 6 to really go commit everything.
It's a little tough. It's just hard to get on top of any single member of INTZ other than this Annie, but Nosferis sitting in mid. And I think the biggest problem, Los Grandes, they didn't want to drop the wave in bottom for Natuno. Natuno valuing the gold over the early dragon, which, again, when it's been marksman carrier, the wheels fall off for Los Grandes. I kind of respect that, you know, wanting to pick up the wave for your AD carry. So they say, hey, we can give a dragon. It's just the first one. We're looking to fight in the mid game anyway. We can take these fights in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and INTZ might not be ready for us. So ends up being a pretty respectful play. And look, we're talking like Los Grandes. They do have the better mid game composition, but let's not pretend that Rakan, Annie, Vi isn't capable of taking these early skirmishes and just one-shotting someone at moment's notice.
No, they absolutely are, right? And with the short cooldown that Nosferis has the Tibbers on, right? And he just kind of uses that on cooldown, and he's got himself some ability haste boots as well. So you know that's what he's going to be planning to do. The teleports are unleashed as well. He has a slight advantage over Lava right now. Not that's going to matter too much in the near future, but yeah, he's just exerting that pressure extremely well. Lava was getting the better of him in the early trades. Like you said, we wanted to see Lava and NL combine and make plays all over the map. I thought especially we were going to see some fireworks on the top side, and we saw NL kind of show his face there a little bit.
Yeah.
But other than that, we haven't seen it.
I mean, it's just a really difficult situation when Kale is just free scaling, and I'm still waiting for this first Nocturne ultimate. It's oftentimes said that the first Nocturne ult is the most important, and 11 minutes into the game, we have not seen NL pull the trigger whatsoever, and I still really want to see a play towards mid. I know INTZ, they've done a brilliant job of tracking this Nocturne. They know what's coming, but if you can go in, trade some cooldowns, get the flash off this Annie, the problem right now for Los Grandes is that Lava has not been able to consistently get himself first move out of mid, meaning that NL can't play towards these side lanes. INTZ's river control has been too good. If you can get the flash off of this Ferris, I think it would allow Lava to play a bit more forward, and maybe then your second Nocturne ultimate could be the one where blood is really spilled. I like them rotating up Ranger and the Natuno going for the swap, trying to create an imbalance somewhere on the map, because in odd number situations, that's where the Nocturne dive becomes very, very scary.
Yeah, you got to respect that they're trying something. I thought this was going to be one of those mid games where Los Grandes just kind of slowly bleed to death. Hang on a second. Yampy in. Good cancel there. Natuno pops the Feather Storm. There goes that first Nocturne ult. They've got a lot of damage there onto INTZ. Nia taken out of the fight for now, but Natuno will go down. There's that flash ult that we were looking for, Hawk. Nosferis picking up the kill, but it's traded back, and Ninja Kiwi gets it. Or Ninja Kiwi goes down, excuse me. No, grabs the kill. There we go. It's a 3-for-1 for INTZ. Around that Herald, they collapse perfectly.
It's a beautiful fight. The threat of the Nocturne ult in these rotations is so scary. But what's even more threatening is when Vi gets on top of your AD carry. And 4x4, this was a 12-minute 5v5. Natuno and Ranger, they feel safe walking through the river because they've got their mid-jungle just a stone's throw away. However, INTZ, they're just first to the play. It's a tremendous cover. I am so impressed at their macro and how they have played on these waves. All 5 members get here first, and the one-shots that we mentioned earlier came through Nocturne be damned.
That's that big flash ult, right? You harped on it a lot, the importance of the flash on this Annie. And lo and behold, that's exactly
They
what
never
won
were
them
able
the
to blow
fight.
it earlier.
Yep.
He had it up the whole time. Yeah, and great use.
NL wasn't able to do much in the early game. Like you said, maybe just blow that flash. That ultimate is going to get 1, maybe 2 charges off, right? Over the course of that flash coming back up off cooldown. But it was a good collapse there initially by Yampy. And Nosferis slow playing it, waiting for his time. Didn't just pop everything right at the beginning of the fight. Waited for the key ultimates to come down. Waited. He knew it was safe. He knew he had the first sure one shot. And that's been INTZ. You know, when they talked, Yampy, he was on Tropas Liberadas. He was talking about facing Furia and how Furia, they like to play these, you know, crazy early game drafts. They got Pyke this, Velvet that, Nyla X, Y, and Z. And he said, look, we cannot get sucked into their early game shenanigans. We have to play a very disciplined early game. And I don't know, if this doesn't say disciplined early game, I don't know what does.
No, it's incredibly disciplined from INTZ, and I like their willingness to pull the trigger at that fight as well, not playing overly respectful of the threat of Los Grandes, because you know what, in these team fights, they're incredibly strong. It's not a skirmish anymore when it's 5 people, and now they're feeling strong. This Sivir in the mid game gonna make Los Grandes' game even harder, as we see Ninja Kiwi playing so far up on these mid waves, getting the shove, rotating towards Dragon, and guess what? It's a position for another team fight. Paranoia's popped, Ranger's in.
Got 2 ultimates from the jungle and
behind.
support Ranger immediately right back out. They've actually got a ton of damage here onto ZZK. He is taken out of it. Didn't even get to use his ultimate. That was off cooldown. Hedon trying to make his way into the backline as Los Grandes find 2, and they find Ninja Kiwi as well. Where's that copy pasta, Hawk? Kasante get with a double kill.
Oh, not the 18 mana, 5,400 damage, whatever the heck it is from Showmaker. But yeah, much better look for Los Grandes, and a little bit of a mistake from INTZ. I want to see the replay of that, as they do get punished, as Nosferis was not able to get in the fight. Lava cut him out and was able to clean them up. The Ahri doing so much work. Also, want to give Ranger so much credit. A great engage from the Rel. Nosferis trying to get around to the Blast Cone to support his team, but the Paranoia comes down. The Rel comes through. The engage is just a little too fast from the side of INTZ, Los Grandes rather. And INTZ not respecting that threat. They get picked apart. Not a game-losing fight, but Los Grandes, they needed this to get back in the game.
No, they really did. Now INTZ have first purchase onto this Herald. It's 3-on-3. Gonna give some commentary on that previous fight, but yeah, we might have another one breaking out here. Nia clearing the vision. INTZ immediately not wasting any time with the remaining members they had with the relatively short respawn timers. They're gonna snag themselves the second Herald of the game. Yeah, Hawk, just to go back to that previous fight. Extremely well coordinated, right?
Yeah.
Right when the lights went out, Ranger was mid Hex Flash charge, right? He just popped himself back into the brush, lights go out, he jumps right back in, and Lava had the good angle there on the flank, and he was the first mid laner to the fight. Like you said, the eyes have to be trained on Nosferis, right? On the Annie.
I will say, like, it was a mistake from INTZ. It was a good fight from Los Grandes, but it's not a mistake I honestly expect to be replicated too often. We saw it again around that Herald. Ninja Kiwi one-shots these mid-waves. Look how far up he's playing in mid lane right now to get to these minions before Natuno. It always gives INTZ first move in River, and when you have first move, you are often going to be the ones that are grouped together. And grouped together fights favor INTZ so much with the Sivir, with the Kale, and against Ahri Nocturne. So, yes, it was a mistake. Los Grandes, they capitalized, but it's a mistake that, if it doesn't happen again, how does Los Grandes find a play? Maybe by getting a pick.
Ooh, hang on a second. Yeah, the stopwatch buys Nosferis some time, but the dive is played to perfection.
Nice.
They get in, they get out. Hang on, Tibbers might have something to say about this. Lava takes him down. Shut down for NL.
Really great punish. They see Yampy on the bottom side, dropping the Herald, getting the shove for ZZK. So they rotate up top, get a kill. It should be a trade of tier 1 towers, but Los Grandes, they are very late on this play. Hedon should be able to hold this. No problems there. And Natuno is now working on that tier 1. But again, they're behind here, and INTZ has rotated everybody over.
Yeah, quick trigger there by INTZ. They lost their mid laner. All right, no problem. Remember that Herald we snagged?
Yeah.
You get that immediately. Yeah, even on the fights, or the instances rather, where Los Grandes have come out on top in terms of kills, right? You see 5-3, but it doesn't feel that way, right? INTZ have counterpunched very well this game.
But Los Grandes, though, they are punishing again by then pushing up on mid and getting control over INTZ's jungle. This is the kind of play that can be so scary against Nocturne. When you get some deep wards, when you can find somebody out on vision and full commit onto them. So INTZ, they need to be diligent in clearing this out. And L needs to be careful not to get caught himself on this red buff. And it's both teams just swapping tempo, right? INTZ make the first play with the Rift Herald, makes them faster to it, but Los Grandes counter well to clean up a kill in a tower of their own. And gold still remaining relatively close. We're looking at this dragon fight a minute from now. This is where I really need to see Los Grandes break open this game. Find a pick before it even starts. Don't let INTZ group up as 5 around it. You need to get somebody to cordon them off and section them apart.
We talked about it ad nauseum. Nosferus has no flash, right? He's already gotten picked once.
True.
He's going to be in a side lane doing his thing. Expect Ninja Kiwi to have first move on to these mid waves, right? You're not going to throw him into a side lane in the mid game. It's going to be him versus Natuno. And like you said, Ninja Kiwi playing incredibly aggressively, just trying to get control and get his team that first move you were talking about, especially with the Hextech Dragon spawning in 20 seconds. You see this rinse and repeat.
Sorry, 4x4, I just noticed this is a Wits End rush from ZZK against double physical damage topside. That is really interesting. I've not really seen much Kale, so I know Wits End is a good item on her in general. However, this is not what I expected, and Los Grandes, they maybe heard me when I said they got to section them apart as deep flank from the solo lanes.
Your 2 solo lanes coming in with using the Hex Gate, with the ultimate coming down, and they'll try to get locked down. But CZK goes invulnerable. Those Hedon, if he can't get anybody, that's a solo kill. He will be chunked out. It's a 1-for-1. Nosferus down. That is big. Yappy getting the shutdown for himself, and he'll survive. It's a 1-for-1 top lane for mid lane. Both junglers alive. Ranger trying to keep this fight alive. INTZ start to drag it.
Going. Maybe towards mid. Lava should have this mid lane tier 1. Traded for Soul Point. So INTZ, they've got a scaling win condition coming onto the map in 5 minutes, but Los Grandes, they managed to trade mid tower. Will give them more control over the map as Baron just spawned. A very tense fight for both sides, but only one dropping either way. INTZ almost got split apart, but they were able to group back together at the last moment and trade it back across. As we saw, Hedon take the Hex Gate, and with Lava's teleport, very, very deep flank. But Los Grandes, they're going to try to drive a wedge between the front line and the back line of INTZ as Yampy commits forward. And we see ZZK get sectioned off to the top side a little bit with Nosferus. However, watch the kite back. Nia flashes away. ZZK does the same. The group of 4 able to burn down the Cassante and not get run down.
Yeah, very tense. As you said, I think that hit the nail right on the head. Both AD carries at 2 items and trading those objectives after the fact, as you pointed out, Los Grandes ahead in gold here by a significant amount. I mean, as significant amount as we have seen. This game has been very, very tight.
It might be the biggest lead this game, but honestly, 1.5K after 20 minutes, like, I'm not calling that super significant if I'm being honest.
no, that's significant, very much a relative term.
Yeah,
in this context.
When the gold lead has been an average of like 700, 1.5K is pretty great. Hold on.
Immediately, Natuno having to blow the cleanse and blow the ultimate. Here comes the TP. The lights go off. Locked up. No goes in. Got the spell shield off for a little more survivability, but the team wasn't there to back him up. Ninja Kiwi scrapes him off the map.
Maybe a bit of miscoordination for this new Los Grandes roster. NL wants to go in, and it's a great engage, but nobody from Los Grandes was ready for it. They were all trying to kite out jungler down. It's a barren start for INTZ. They still have summoners up on Ninja Kiwi and many ultimates available. Look for Nia to play for the turn with the quickness.
Yep, Nosferus, no flash, no ultimate, so it is going to come down to Nia, like you're saying, Hawk. Natuno rejoining the fight.
There's no way you flip this. You got to play for turn. 4v5, just go.
Well, they're able to get the Baron, and now they're going to pull the trigger, and they're lucky enough to get a pick onto Hedon, get a Baron, get a kill. Easy cheesy, back to base we go.
Wow, INTZ, they held the line. I am very surprised that they didn't play for turn, jungler down or not. 4v5 when you're funneled into the pit against a Rel Xayah Ahri is really scary. to be honest, but they end up just killing Yidon, and they get the objective anyway. And that gold lead has now flip-flopped the other way. They're almost 1,000 in the lead, and now with the Baron, that power play could really put the game firmly in their control. ZZK, level 14, 2 items. Ninja Kiwi likewise having 2 items to his name. Everybody starting to come online, and I think it's safe to say this Nocturne Ahri did not pay its dividends this game.
No, we saw it get that pick onto Nosferos up on the top side, but INTZ immediately making plays on the other side. No, but it hasn't, especially in the early game, like we wanted it to see have its effect. Right, the mid jungle rolling all over the place. Ahri has incredible pushing power, but Nosferos just keeps doing things like that. Now with the counter push, Ahri actually landing the charm there.
Okay.
NL over the top, taken out of the fight for a little bit. Ranger finally gets that ultimate back up. Gets jumped right through. Featherstorm goes out. Natsuno trying to get the damage onto Nia. Hedon trying to get forward, is not able to.
But that's going to delay the Baron push a lot. 2 great picks. That's what happens. INTZ, when they get split, Los Grandes can still fight back, finding 2 onto the flashless Annie and the Vi cover. That is going to almost completely eliminate this Baron power play 4x4. Only about 1k less than what the Baron gives. Maybe they can take this mid-tier 1, but Los Grandes with the Hex Gates already back out on the map, and I think both teams now starting to think about Soul coming up in a minute.
Yeah, they did trade over. Right, Soul Point, Los Grandes didn't opt to fight for that 3rd dragon, so they know exactly where they're going to be in 45 seconds. INTZ, a part of the reason they've gotten all 3 dragons is because they've done exactly this at exactly this time, right before each of these preceding ones. With the gold even here, 80 carries on 2.5 items. We haven't really seen a big pop-off fight yet from ZZK. Hang on, Nia might have gotten caught out here, able to dash back. Ranger looking for a flank on this Rel. That ultimate has been key. They are first to the dragon, but it's still about 20 seconds from spawning. They're going to try a little death rush action here. Hedon peeks forward, and he goes down. Ninja Kiwi mops it up. Well, you knew that was going to happen.
It's just so hard to drive a wedge through the comp when you can't see a damn thing. INTZ, they stay together. They one-shot the front line. There's no hope in hell for Los Grandes to find this fight, but maybe the rookie NL can find the soul. Nia, though, just gonna play bodyguard. Somebody do the dragon for INTZ, and there's no way. Los Grandes, they can't get in. The strongest soul in the game going the way of INTZ.
That's going to feel really, really nice on the Kale and the Sivir. My, oh my. 4 dragons up, 4 dragons down for INTZ. And it's still only 1,000 gold lead. Maybe this could be that turning point that they're looking for. It isn't quite the Baron push, right? That was neutralized a little bit ago. But INTZ have played a very disciplined game and finally really
and you know what?
That vision so
you know what, 4x4? Doesn't matter that the Baron power play was neutralized. You know what? ZZK's level 16. Yep. The game is over as long as ZZK is alive. It does not matter that the Baron push didn't happen. The only thing that matters is that Los Grandes has yet to win the game. 25 minutes in, when you got a level 16 Kale and Tech Soul, I mean, there is nothing left to do other than hope you can find some miracle picks for Los Grandes. Look, NL has had some good moments. The Baron push got stifled, for example, by one of those Nocturne engages. Maybe they could find one now.
They throw everything onto INTZ. The ultimate's coming down like hellfire, and they keep pushing forward. NL looking for a little more. ZZK a little late to the fight, and that's what KO. None of that big level 16 damage. They get the 80 carry from INTZ.
They get the 80 carry, so it is something. It's just going to continue to delay INTZ, but nobody else dies, and there's nothing to take. It's just all it does. It slowed down INTZ, and it was just as I was going to say. The Nocturne in this game make the nightmares that solely gives you a Monsters Inc., but this is a Mike Nocturne in this game, man. Like, he turns off the lights, and INTZ, they hit each other and tell each other it's going to be fine, and you know what? It has been.
For the most part, right?
For the most part, you know, for maybe not for Ninja Kiwi, but for everybody else, like it.
Yeah, it's one thing to get a kill, it's another thing to do something with it. Also, absolutely vicious extended metaphor from you, my guy. Yeah. I was tracking with that all the way, and then you tipped it up to yourself off the backboard and just yammed it home. Beautiful stuff.
Yeah, call Los Grandes the Uzma Kappa of
God
CBLOL here.
It doesn't stop. Yeah, and INTZ, to your point, to try to extend my own metaphor here, they're not really stopping either, right? The only thing that Los Grandes got off that was, but all those ultimates spent, right? It shows you that Los Grandes are looking for a very specific type of fight, i.e. a pick. And with nothing to do after that, a pick is just a pick, as you pointed out. So we're really kind of right back where we started here, except the gold is now even instead of slightly in INTZ's favor.
Yeah, like literally INTZ this game, they have the power of friendship. Like as long as they all like have a buddy, they can't lose. Like it's actually so strong. Everybody just needs to stand in a circle and sing Kumbaya together, and I don't think Los Grandes can kill really more than one member. I feel like it's so often joked about teams having the power of friendship, but it is so incredibly literal in this game. Baron now on the map. I'm sure they can just power of friendship their way through a mid-wave, and eventually Los Grandes will be forced to do something because Elder spawning in 3 minutes. You cannot handshake either of these objectives when you're against a late game KO.
No. EZK gonna grab himself a blue buff. Yampy looking to pull the trigger here. Nosferus has all his buttons.
Ranger has a flank.
Yeah, Ranger's looking for that flank, and now they get the knock up there onto Nosferus. He can't see anything, trying to get
Ranger!
that massive Ranger in. This might be the timing that they
ZZK!
want. Nosferus can't find anything. He throws Timbers down, but is it too little too late? ZZK taken out of the fight, crucially, and those low health bars don't mean a dang thing. Los Grandes with purchase onto Baron, but do they have the health to fight it?
Wait, Los Grandes, they ironically, for might have lost this fight. Look at how low they all are, despite killing the Kale. That was basically the dream angle, and they still only got one. Sure, it's the most critical member, but I mean, now they're forced to answer these side waves. They just dropped a ton of creeps in the bottom lane. We're inching ever closer to the Elder Dragon. Los Grandes, I feel for them because Ranger, I mean, I was critical of his play at support through the first 3 weeks, but I think has performed exceptionally on the rel. Deathless in this game, has found some terrific engage angles. That one, the best one of them all, and it's still not enough for Los Grandes to find a game-winning fight.
That's unfortunate, man. Because like you said, that was kind of the dream angle from Ranger. They got everything right. Nosferus couldn't see anything. He couldn't get that big flash Timbers down. The Timbers didn't, I mean, it did the damage, and it was able to do the damage that didn't allow Los Grandes to finish the objective.
Oh, they're kumbayaing with Baron. Now what do they do? It's a death brush.
Well, Ranger's got the ultimate back up, so never say die here, and he's again looking for a different angle here. The Ranger is not at the fight, and that will be it for Hedon anyway. And now they're just going to turn on the Ranger. Ranger's in the wrong neighborhood. Yampy going in onto the former jungler. He has faced him so many times and gets the better of him in this one. Now INTZ with purchase on Baron.
Hold hands, stand together, and sing is all INTZ needs to do. Los Grandes can't get in. Elder gonna be spawning in 40 seconds as well. Double super buffs. Assuming INTZ is able to pick that one up, should be all that they need to finally end this game 4x4, as 30 minutes now have passed. We did say, hey, INTZ rather, they've got a scaling comp. They're gonna play it slow, and you know what? They've done just that.
Very disciplined. I mean, you can't say enough about this team, and I don't mean to sound patronizing, because that feels like it could come off as how we're talking about INTZ. It's like, oh, look, it's scrappy little INTZ, proving everybody wrong. But that is kind of what they've done, and it's not like they're just working their way to wins, right? This isn't just the Kiwi show.
And it's been clean.
League of Legends, yeah.
Like, I know I'm joking, like, stand together and sing or whatever, but like, that's INTZ not allowing Los Grandes to separate them in really any of these fights is genuinely an achievement. Like, I'm just having a lot of fun up here, but it has just been such a clean game from INTZ. Look at this. Ranger goes for the flank. All 5 members now running forward.
This is the exact same thing that happened last fight, except maybe Edel has bought some time with this ultimate. Now Ranger finds the fight. He finds the ultimate.
They're still together.
Time with the stopwatch. Ranger through. And INTZ is able to win the fight. Natuno does not have the miracle in him. It's the Penta. There's ZZK out of nowhere. It's the Penta. Hold it down. The stopwatch baited himself. He played himself, but Yappy gets the shutdown. Critically, they get the ace. Looking for the GG here. Do they have the ways to end the game, Hawk?
Oh, they most certainly do. 32 minutes into the game, 30 seconds on everybody, and you've still got your Kale alive. Los Grandes, they still, once again, found the AoE damage, but they couldn't kill them all. INTZ stay together, use the power of friendship to not end the game, and go take Elder Dragon.
They will play it safe. Stop us, we've heard that one before. Yeah, so they're going to go for the Elder Dragon. Count on the fact that they have been able to win these team fights, play them slow, play them intelligently. And how about ZZK with the quadra kill? And I just don't know what you do here. I mean, if you're Los Grandes, you've gotten a lot of what you hold up. Nia.
Oh my God,
no
way he steals it, right?
You beauty. Oh, not enough. ZZK, the quadra kill, level 18, the Elder Dragon. Adel had to go for the Hail Mary, but the prayers were not answered. Now INTZ dotting the I's, crossing the T's. Should get to the 5th minute of the season.
I would hope that they're able to end with the double super buff push. They've got the inhibitor down in mid, and they're running over to their wave right now. Los Grandes, you've got 3 members alive and a Dream Guardian Angel on Netuno. Maybe there's a way in which you can find the juiciest Rel engage into Kaisa, Xayah rather one-shot that you've ever seen, but 4x4, I've got a feeling that there's a far cry in that happening.
No, because we've seen them seemingly get it, right? We've seen Ranger get good angles, good ultimates, and Netuno just hasn't had the damage by himself.
Scuffed.
They're trying it here with the towers down. That might be it. I thought maybe, maybe with the towers up, they might have had a shot here. But INTZ, how about it? Winners of 4 of their last 5.